Joined once again by Denver Mayor Michael Hancock. Mr. Mayor, thank you for your time.
Glad to be with you, Kyle.
Denver is extending its stay-home order to May 8th. Based on the science, would you have preferred to go to May 15th and just couldn't get buy-in from other municipalities?
Yeah, my original date was May 15th. We had a pretty good caucus internally of the administration, various agencies that morning. I was pretty comfortable with the May 15th date. But when I got on the phone with regional partners, it was pretty well established that May 8th was more of the date that they were landing on. Doesn't change much about what we're doing, but certainly doesn't give us as much of a landing strip. But that's okay. We'll focus on getting ready for getting ready through May 8th, and of course ready to go live on May the 9th.
So, I mean, if the public health science suggests May 15th, the science doesn't care what any regional partner thinks of it or what you think of it or what I think of it. I mean, the science is the science. So if that doesn't change, are we still looking at an extension to May 15 at some point?
You know, Kyle, I'll take you back to how I started the statement today. You know, Dr. Washington's statement to us, this virus is going to be with us. And so we're really working to manage our lives and our operations around the looming presence of this virus. And so May 18th versus May 15th would have given us 7 more days to focus on putting our operations in place, making sure everybody's ready to roll. But we can do all that by May 8th and make sure that keeping the focus of keeping everyone health and safety. That doesn't change for us, whether it's May 15th or May 31st. The reality is that we have the same objectives and the same goals.
Denver has offered the specific goal of 1,000 tests per day. The danger in offering specifics, as you know, is that people might hold you to them.
Yeah.
Should people be watching that daily test number to see if it gets to 1,000, and then that will determine whether or not we lift on May 8th?
We already trust and believe, understand what metric we're looking at in terms of thousands, but how we got there, right? And experts have said you're talking about 150 people per X number, 100,000 people in your community. We recognize that based on our capacity from the various hospitals, just starting with Denver Health, we're almost there. And with further phone calls, we realized we exceed the number. So now it's about making sure it's all coordinated and it's all accessible to people, and that we take a different approach to testing and work with our employers to help get their employees back to work. So, yeah, you can look at that number, but rest assured that we knew before we made that statement that that capacity already exists in our community.
You've been very complimentary of Governor Polis. You specifically said today that you don't want people causing drama where there is none. I'm no fan of drama personally. But I got to ask you, did the governor's decision to lift the statewide stay-home order without providing the specifics of that order and guidance, did that make your job more difficult?
I think, the specifics, when you look at what's going to be needed in terms of the orders for restaurants, bars, beauty shops, spas, massage parlors, you begin to understand very quickly why it's taken the time that it's going to take to get these orders together. We didn't want to respond to them haphazardly, and we wanted to make sure that we understood exactly the proper guidance we needed to get people. So did it make it difficult? It's difficult anyway, just because of putting those orders together. It's going to take tremendous amount of time and effort, and we get it. And so we got to be patient with the state, allow them to do those things. But in the meantime, we've got to ready ourselves to be good stewards and partners with the state as well as the businesses in the city of Denver.
After a brief technical difficulty on my end, we are back with Denver Mayor Michael Hancock. I think we heard your answer to the situation about the governor's decision-making than your decision-making. So I want to talk again about kind of the ripple effects of this. So you have Weld County telling all businesses that they can open. Various counties are going to make various decisions. If they make decisions that result in a spike of COVID-19 cases, those patients are going to end up in Denver, in Aurora, throughout the metro area. Is that something that you're planning for?
Absolutely, and it's concerning, Kyle, because the reality is that our decision-making in Denver was not as much about today, this very moment, as it is down the road. How do we prepare Denver? How do we prepare a region? How do we insulate ourselves from a spike that could be even more deadlier than the spike that we've been experiencing here in the city and the region? And so that's why I always said it's important for us to do this as a region. We'd love to do it as a statewide, but at the very least, we should do this as a region. That's why you saw Denver adjust its thinking from May 15th to May 8th, because the region was on those dates, and it made a lot of sense, and I listened to them. And so it is important that we know what our neighbors are doing, and and that we're all aligned in terms of policy, because ultimately what one does or allows to happen impacts the rest of us. And we want to keep all of our residents safe, whether they're in Denver or Aurora or Arvada or Broomfield.
There's a strain of criticism from your right that suggests that Democrats like you just want control, and that this is some kind of dream scenario, that you're enjoying this.
Yeah. Wow. I'll tell you this. There aren't very many families that have gone unimpacted by the coronavirus. And when I hear those kind of scenarios, they don't imagine that the same people that are being impacted by my decisions also live in my home. Family members who are out of work, family members who are struggling, siblings who are trying to feed their children as well. I carry those burdens with me every day. I don't have any kind of visions of grandeur or pleasure putting people out of work or having decisions that put people out of work. This is about health and safety of all Denverites and Coloradans, and we take those burdens with us every day. Nobody could ever convince me that it was all right to dismantle an economy that was one of the best in the country before January the 3rd, before March 13th, when we had to make a call. We have worked hard to build that economy, all of us, not just here in the government, I'm talking about in the private sector. So it is loony to believe that we find pleasure in control or making these decisions. Nobody wants to be in this place. That's why very few people are in these spaces to make these calls. And our families have been just as impacted as everyone else's family in the community. And so I'm sorry that people have to go there, but it is wrong, it is off base, and it is unmerited.
Lastly, we've been asking Coloradans what they have decided that they won't take for granted anymore when all this is over. How about you?
Oh man, I think really time. I won't take time for granted anymore. You know what? It feels like all we've done is run from one phone conference to the next video conference, planning and scheduling and preparing. And the reality, we've had very little time to just breathe because we are really working to save the city. And so I will celebrate and appreciate the time to breathe, the opportunities to be with family, and remember that there's nothing more important than those people who you love and call your family every day. And so, yeah, those are the things that matter the most to me.
Mayor Hancock, thank you for your time. All the best to you and your family. We'll talk again soon.
Thank you, Kyle.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.